US President Donald Trump has hinted at a fresh round of talks with Iran, possibly returning to Pakistan within the next 2 days. Speaking in an interview to New York Post on Tuesday, Donald Trump said discussions could resume soon, with Islamabad emerging once again as the likely venue. Now, interestingly, President Trump initially suggested talks may not return to Pakistan, but later indicated it was more likely, praising Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir and what he called a great job. Now, the comments come after the first round of negotiations over the weekend ended without a deal, leaving key issues unresolved.
Talks to end the war in Iran could resume this week, according to sources who spoke to Reuters on Tuesday. This comes after negotiations collapsed last weekend in Islamabad, prompting Washington to impose a blockade on Iranian ports. Signs that diplomatic engagement might continue helped calm oil markets.
They'd like to make a deal very badly, very badly.
On Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump said Iran had been in touch with him and wanted to make a deal, but added that he would not sanction any agreement that allowed Tehran to possess a nuclear weapon.
Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it.
Since the United States and Israel began the war on February 28th, Iran effectively shut the Strait of Hormuz to nearly all vessels except its own. In a countermeasure, the U.S. military said it began blocking ship traffic in and out of Iran's ports. On Tuesday, the International Monetary Fund warned that the war in the Middle East is elevating global financial stability risks. IMF chief economist Pierre-Olivier Garantia.
So despite major trade disruptions and policy uncertainty, last year ended on an upbeat note. This momentum was expected to carry into 2026, and we were looking to lift up our global growth forecast. Now, war in the Middle East has halted this momentum.
A source involved in the U.S.-Iran talks said both countries could return to negotiations as early as the end of this week, and that a proposal had been shared with Washington and Tehran to rescind their delegations. Meanwhile, the ceasefire between the two countries has largely held over its first week, despite sharp rhetoric from both sides.
Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President JD Vance has acknowledged deep mistrust between Washington and Tehran, saying it cannot be resolved overnight. At the same time, Vance struck a cautiously optimistic note, saying Iranian negotiators do want a deal and that he feels very good about the current position. For now, a fragile 2-week ceasefire is still holding, with about a week still remaining.
I mean, look, you never know. The United States had never had meetings at that level with the Iranian government in 49 years. Like, it's a meeting that had never before happened. Not Democrat, not Republican. We had never had a meeting like that where you have, you know, the person who's effectively running the country in Iran sitting across from the Vice President of the United States. That had never happened. And what look, honestly, after 49 years, there's a lot of course, mistrust between Iran and the United States of America. You're not going to solve that problem overnight.